and also my marketing and brand management, I was able to put her in some of those roles. On top of that, her son, who's 18, loves to do video editing. So we gave him a challenge. I said, hey, got a couple of videos. What can you do for me? So guess what? Now he's become our intern. So he was able to crank out, what was it, 4, 5, 6 videos in one day that we had just given him raw material that we could use not only for YouTube and put on the website, but also that we could use for content. So we were able to get all that done in the span of 2 days.
Awesome.
And then after that, just talking with some friends over the weekend that said, hey, I didn't realize you were still doing the real estate thing. And, tell me more about what you guys are doing, where you guys are at. So, friends and family are starting to comment more about it and kind of like, oh, we didn't realize you were doing that or that you were still doing that. So, good conversation sparked off of that.
Awesome. Speaking of interns, Jordan, you remember Carly from our last night after dinner. We randomly met this young marketing major. Jordan was with me. I had a call with Carly yesterday. We're probably going to be bringing her on as an intern for us.
I was getting ready to say, no way. You already scored that? That's awesome, man. She's cute too.
So interns, I love them. So James, I'm glad to hear that you guys are testing the waters on that front. Let's see. Dominique hasn't gotten off yet. Lauren, welcome to the call. I was letting those that were with us a couple weeks ago in Phoenix share a little bit of what they've been doing since they left there, see what action's been taken. So I don't know if you want to share anything, Lauren. I was trying to give Dominique a second to get off the phone.
No, I mean, I just had my 2 deals going and I was traveling, so I haven't done anything yet as far as the implementation.
I actually want to give you a shout out on that front. Some of you guys that were in Phoenix may or may not have known, but basically the whole week that we were there, Lauren was actually working a deal. I think you came up to me and asked me some questions about it shortly after I did the presentation on where the real estate market's going and what I think is going to happen.
Yeah.
She right away came up and she's like, I got a creative one in my lap. And through that whole week, through going skiing afterwards and the whole 9 yards, she was able to finagle and put together a pretty sweet little subject to deal that she was able to lock up. So major kudos there that while you're at an event learning, still taking care of business, while you're on the slope skiing, still taking care of business.
And I got my house sold. We executed last night, 1.275 million, 4 days cash offer.
There we go. That's even better news. You didn't have that news yesterday.
Yeah, that's an awesome news. That's a boom or a hell yeah.
I put the listing coming soon on Thursday while we were at the event. And then when I got right before I left Utah, I put it live on that Thursday night, went live Friday morning, showed it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, had an open house. Monday, got all the contracts executed yesterday.
Boom.
Sweet deal. Yep.
Bob, I see you turned your camera on. What you been up to since you left Phoenix?
I didn't know I had to have the camera on to get picked, but that's all good. Actually had a coaching call with Jake, working some things with the downloading from the one YouTube to the other. And it's a quantity limit, so you can only do 10 a day. So it's taking a little bit of extra time. Not a big deal. And I'm working a coordination call with Disley. He's going to work with me with the chat GPT, with the SOP stuff. So I'm putting that together, and I got a request to sit in on a podcast next week to do a little bit of history on myself, as well as specifically for veterans, but veteran entrepreneurs that are moving transition from service into the real estate market.
Love it. Love it. Dominique, I see you're finally off the phone.
Hi. So I've been working with one of my agents on setting up another page on our website for Spanish speaking buyers and sellers. Awesome. Getting that all put together to submit. And then I'll sit down with Roger and talk about exactly what we need and how to organize it and that.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that being said, I want to build on a little bit of the stuff that we talked about in Phoenix. So those of you guys that were at the Phoenix event, some of this is going to be a little bit of a refresher. Some of it is going to go a little bit deeper. Some of it is going to sound brand new because you weren't paying attention in Phoenix and you're finally paying attention now. So no matter which one of those buckets you fall into, all's good. Chances are Jordan and Jacob fall into that last one more so than anybody else because they were slaying
what?
deals and not paying attention to the speakers. But we'll forgive them on that. But how many of you guys that were in Phoenix remember I said there was two things that if you really want success in real estate, and really it's I say success in real estate, but at the end of the day, it's business, right? If you truly want success in business, there was two things I said you had to get super, super good at. And until you get really good at those two things, nothing else matters. Success won't really actually happen. Who remembers what those two things are? And you guys don't get the scapegoat of Sal being on the call with his giant notebook to be able to answer these questions for you today. Bob's giving me the finger. I'm going to give Bob a second.
Dave, you're right. I wasn't paying attention. I was slaying deals. So I don't know the answer.
Got it, Bob?
Finding the opportunities and acquisitions and selling.
I'll get. Yep, there you go. I was going to say I was going to give you.
Acquisitions and closing.
I was going to give you the credit for it, but it basically boils down to these two things. I'm just trying to adjust my board so that you guys can actually see what I write. You got to get good at number one, finding opportunities. And number two, close the opportunity. Find the opportunity, close the opportunity. Find the opportunity, close the opportunity. Until we get really, really, really good at these two things, business will always be this. We're going to have really high moments. We're going to have really shitty moments. We're going to have really good moments. We're going to have really shitty moments. Yet, I don't think any of us want a business like that, right? We want a business that's more like this. It's kind of on a steady growth, has little dips and valleys, but for the most part, as time goes on, right, we see an increase in productivity, we see an increase in growth, we see an increase in revenue, we see an increase in profit. How many of you guys want more of this, less of this? Right? And it comes down to this right here. Like, this is the secret formula at the end of the day. Find opportunities, close opportunities. So if that's the secret, finding and closing, are we really in a real estate business? I see a couple of you guys shaking your head. Dominique, you're right in the center of my screen. I saw you first. If we're not in a real estate business, what kind of business do you think we're in?
Well, it all narrows down to sales. It's just real estate is what we're selling.
100% agree. So are we in a sales business?
Customer satisfaction or we're in a customer business.
Marketing. We're all in a marketing business.
There it is. Every single one of us are in the business of marketing. Every single one of us. Our business, our job every day is to do this. Market, 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 market. Because I can't close anything until I what?
So you find it.
Until I find it. I don't care how great your sales skills are. I don't care how great your back-end system is. I don't care how great your acquisitions team is. I don't care how great your contracts looked. I don't care about any of that stuff if you never have anything to actually close because you can't find the opportunity to close. What good does that do you, right? So if I had two secrets for a marketing business, can anybody guess what the two secrets of marketing are? Anybody want to take a stab?
Visibility and message.
You guys are trying to get a little technical. Don't go so deep with it. Two secrets that
Consistency.
make marketing stupid easy.
Consistency.
Consistency. I'd give that a small third spot. Let me help you out. The first
Awareness.
one, say that again.
Awareness.
Again, you guys are trying to go like super technical words that I've used in the past. The first thing that I would say is you got to be noisy. And the second part behind that is you need to be louder than everybody else. Because you can be noisy and not loud. Can we agree with that? Yes? I'm noisy, meaning I put stuff out, I do things, right? I check boxes every day. But if I'm just not loud about it, James, you opened up the call, you said all of a sudden you've been doing some new things that all of a sudden people are like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know you were still in that business. I didn't know you still did that. Oh, I didn't even know that you did that, right? Those type of reactions come because they finally started to see and hear the noise because you got a little bit louder with it. So the secret to marketing is really that simple. I got to be noisy and I got to be really loud about the noise I'm making. So when we break down being noise, and then I forget who said it, Jacob, it might have been you that said consistency. That's the piece that holds it up. I can't be noisy and loud for a week and then stop for 2 months and then try to be noisy and loud again for a week and stop for 2 months. I got to stay really consistent about being noisy and loud. That's why I've given them that third spot. But really, I got to be noisy and loud. So if I'm going to be noisy and loud, let's break down what noisy really looks like. When I say the word be noisy, be the squeaky wheel, be annoying, this would be another word that you could use here. Be annoyingly noisy. What comes to mind? Thinking as a marketing person for your business. What do I mean by that?
Showing up in everyone's feed in every possible way.
Say that again, James.
Showing up in everyone's feed in every possible way, not just Facebook, but also Instagram, showing up on a short, on YouTube, just everything.
I'll give you a perfect example. Grant Cardone, he sends like freaking 7 emails a freaking day. And it's not him, it's his automation crap.
Right. I mean, we're not here to say, how do we get this done? Let's break down what it is. I love the analogy, right? I don't personally care for Grant Cardone, but I will tell you, he's really great about being noisy and loud. Everywhere, always. What else comes to mind when I say noisy?
Well, I would say though, because especially in Grant Cardone, I mean, I was only on his list for a short period of time because he was too in my box all the time. And I'm like, okay, no, I've had enough of you, go away.
Because you're not his avatar.
Mm.
His avatar eats that stuff up, right? This is going back to understanding the avatar too. But he's really good about being noisy and loud. Don't take noisy and loud as just how I only attract what I'm looking for. It's also my way of pushing away what I don't want to deal with.
Correct. Yeah.
Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what else comes to mind when I say being noisy, be annoying, be everywhere always?
Multiple different forms of marketing.
Multi-channel, we'll call that. Multimedia, multi-channel. What else is coming to mind? Some of you guys that have been really quiet, what's on your mind? Here's the thing, you probably don't have a wrong answer. Anything you say is going to be right.
Offering things.
What do you mean?
It could be anything, training or, forms of information, access to whatever for no fee.
Value adds.
Yeah. That'd work.
So having calls to action, not just yelling, preaching, right? Actually having something to offer. That's a pretty good one. What else? Nicole, I saw your finger go across the screen. I wasn't sure if you're trying to unmute.
No, I mean, I was thinking like, yeah, I mean, pretty much everyone has said like, we're like relationships, right? So as noise, yeah, as in your face as you can be, right? Like that's the idea. But with knowledge, right?
Knowledge.
Like, you have to know what you're selling.
So actually having some substance behind what we're
Yes,
being noisy about.
yes, absolutely.
I like that. It kind of ties to what you said with relationship.
Yeah.
How many of you guys have gone through a day and not spoken about your business one time? Be honest with yourself. Just think in the last week. Has there been a day that's gone by that you did not talk to somebody brand new that you didn't already know about your business?
Only because Sundays is non-business day.
There's no such thing,
I
right? And I understand what you're saying. I'm picking on you back. Noisy to me means I should be talking to somebody every day.
But let me reframe that. That doesn't mean that's me personally. That doesn't
Correct.
mean nobody saw, because
Correct.
I still had things posted, but I personally didn't.
And that's where I was going to go when I said talking. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be one-on-one. It doesn't have to be me to Bob, right? It doesn't have to be me to Melissa like I had earlier today, a 3-hour meeting with somebody in our office about what we do.
So you also mean like getting contacts like every day, right? Like creating new contacts. Is that in the same ballpark?
Yes, but I don't want you to get wrapped up in thinking that getting contacts means I must have name, phone number, email.
Right. Okay.
But I want my business's message. I want what I do. The goal is I want it in front of new people every single day. And if a day goes by that somebody new didn't get a chance to see something of mine, I'm failing myself because I'm definitely not being noisy. And I know that the two things I really need to focus on is find opportunities. And I can't find opportunities if I'm not actually trying. Does that make sense? So let's take this a hair deeper now. This is what it means. How can we be noisy in the real estate industry? Step into your business now for a second and ask yourself, how can I be noisy? How can I be annoying? How can I be everywhere always? How can I be talking nonstop? How can I have multi-channel? What's the actual tactics? Say it again.
Social media presence.
Social media. That's one. What else?
Networking events, podcasts.
Website.
Well, I wouldn't just say website, get specific.
About us page.
Blogs.
Content, right?
Yeah.
What else? These are the tactics. These are the things that are in our arsenal that we can play with, that we can use.
YouTube
How about-
videos.
Yeah, YouTube.
YouTube. What else?
How about like past client reviews too? Like them saying something about your business?
Yep. It's a tactic that we can use. What else?
Referrals.
Keep going.
What about just simple behind the scenes type shots?
Sure. We're looking at tactics though. Think of how I be noisy is really my infantrymen. What are the infantrymen that I have at my disposal? that I
Direct
can
mail
use?
and texting.
Direct mail.
There we go.
Drip
Now we're getting
campaigns.
somewhere. Direct mail. Somebody said text. What else?
Drip campaigns?
What do you mean by drip? I mean, I could put drip to any of these, right?
Oh, like email.
Okay. Email's another tactic. What else?
Radio.
Radio. I actually had a call earlier today with one of our clients that one of our higher end clients does it. He's spending about $9,000 a month in radio ads, spending about $10,000 a month in TV ads, spending about $3,000 a month in
Pay per click.
pay per click. That's where I was going. He's spending about $3,000 a month in SEO. And he's doing about a deal a week, making about $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a deal.
Bandit signs.
Signs. It's funny because that's how we got on our conversation today. He has a new competitor in his market that just like took out billboards everywhere.
QR codes.
I wouldn't call a QR code a tactic.
Okay.
It's a tool, not a marketing tactic.
It would be on the tool
Correct.
or on the, yeah.
Home shows.
Say that again.
A home show, like in a
100%.
stadium.
We're coming into the time of year, especially depending where you guys are at in the country, where home and garden shows,
Mhm.
these type of home shows are getting really popular. Check with your the Builders Association. They typically like to put these on. Chamber of Commerce is like to put these on. We used to put a booth in almost every one of the home shows in our area going into the spring, not because I was there trying to find, landscaping jobs and whatever, but people that came that were looking to get things done on their house were at these shows and they stumble on our booth. We're over there talking about what we do in the real estate space.
Partner with new builders for the properties that have to be sold.
If you're an agent, that'd be a great.
Well, I'm just saying, even if they're buying a new, what are they doing with their old house?
Correct. Could be a
I mean,
piece, right?
yeah.
I'd call that more a tool than a tactic, but yes. So is it safe to say that we have a lot of tactic, and this is obviously a small list. We could probably keep going and really pick this thing apart, but is it safe to say we've got a pretty good plethora of tactics to deploy that allow us to be noisy? Yes?
Yeah.
So if we have all of these tactics that give us the ability to be noisy, why is it that we struggle to be noisy and therefore struggle to find more opportunities? Because it's not a shortage of tactics. It's not a shortage of things to do. Why is it we struggle to have it happen then?
Well, someone had typed it out. Lack of action could be part of a confidence issue.
Okay. That was Bob that typed out action. I just saw that pulling it up on my other screen.
Or having limiting beliefs, right? So being in your own way.
Okay. In your own way. What else? I can't answer this one. That's the fun part of this. Because I have zero problem being noisy, which is probably why I've had zero issue in any business I've ever stepped into, finding and closing. Kurt, were you going to say something?
I was going to say fear.
Fear? Fear of what?
Fear of being noisy. Some people are introverts and they just don't have it in them to be extroverts and be noisy.
Fear of being seen,
Fear of being
kind of thing.
seen.
That's those of us who are raised with the, or even to be seen and not heard kind of attitude.
Yeah, more of a modest attitude.
Could also be afraid of actually getting a deal and then not knowing what to do with it.
I would agree with these for the majority, but does anybody on this call feel like you're in that spot? Lauren's being a little honest there. What was the shake for, Lauren? I appreciate the honesty.
Part of mine is I'm annoyed by that kind of noisy. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
want
mean,
to.
I'm not noisy. I'm not noisy every day. I don't do a lot of marketing. That's what I'm trying to get better at.
Yeah. So if we know we need to be noisy, we know we need to find opportunities for business to grow, but we fall in this category of it's not a shortage of tactics. I have the tactics. I have the things to deploy. I personally don't like it. I'm more of an introvert. I'm more modest. I'm more quiet. What do we need to do?
Get over ourselves.
I wouldn't go
Or-
that stern. And I'm a stern guy, and I wouldn't tell you to go that stern.
Hire somebody else to do it for you.
There you
Find a
go.
way to get it done.
There you go. Because there's only one of two options that can happen here. We either get noisy, we get a consistent flow of things in our face that we can find and close, or we have the business that we have today. And that's about as far as it'll get. Does that make sense? Yes? And for some of you guys, that's fine. I'm going to put Terry on the spot here for a second. Terry, what was it? Almost 2 years ago now. We were sitting in Big Bear. And I told you to quit trying to be so noisy. Quit trying to do so much. Why?
Strain on family and strain and stress on myself.
Do you need to be doing 25 deals a year?
Nope.
But is that the same for Jordan, Jacob? Can you guys survive if you only did 1 or 2 deals a year? No. So take this for where it fits in your model, where you're at. Terry, when I had this conversation with him, it really came down to like, the dude's got a great life. He's happy. Family's good. Got his retirement from his firefighting days. He loves real estate, but he doesn't need to grind and break his back to do 25 deals just because that's what people say you should be doing in real estate, right? To enjoy what he's trying to build for the next however many years until he decides to completely retire and just chill on the beach since it's right down the street.
That's when you change your tactic of the type of real estate you get into.
100%.
Or it's more passive.
So for most of you guys on this call right now, you fall in this spectrum. You're either in the beginning stages, like I look at somebody like Phil, I look at the Bobs, I look at the Jordan and Jacobs, Chris and Sal, they're not on, James, a couple of the others that I know pretty well. You guys you're in that early stage where it's like, I'm trying to build, right? I'm trying to scale. I'm trying to get this thing up. Then there's others of you, Lauren, for example, Terry, hey, and Kurt, I don't know too much about your business. I know you show up on these calls all the time, but I'm not ingrained with you like I am with some of our clients. But I know Lauren and I know Terry really well. And it's like, I don't need to be doing a ton. I'm happy with what I got. Lauren's got her hands in a couple things. So a couple deals here, a couple things here, a couple loans over here, doing pretty well, right? Do we need to be as noisy for that? No. But if we're in that early stage, noise is the key. And to be noisy in a good way, I want to be taking as many of these tactics right here as I can at one time in deploying them. So in Phoenix, I talked a little bit about, and actually before I go on to that, anybody have any thoughts, comments, questions on that? For those of you guys that were in Phoenix, I talked about this concept of omnipresent. And I did a whole presentation. I broke down what omnipresent meant, what it meant from an evergreen standpoint, right? Being everywhere at all places, creating the evergreen marketing, the stuff that never stops so that Dominique, you can hang out on Sundays and not do anything business related, but business is still working for the business, right? And I introduced a couple things that are really new to the scene from a noisy standpoint. They're tactics at the end of the day. Who remembers the two new? One of them is like really, really new. The other one is just a new variation of an old school tried and true method. Does anybody remember what I was talking about?
One of them was geofencing.
Geofencing was one of them.
And the AI, ChatGPT.
And what was the second one? Because I'm getting a lead on our access buyers line. The other one was just a new spin on an old school tried and true tactic. Jordan, Jacob, you guys should be able to answer this. You just fired it up.
Direct mail.
Direct mail on steroids though, right?
Yep.
These two pieces combined with a really strong back end 13 by 13 campaign. In our case, I recommend Lead Vault, our system, our CRM system to help build this out. But these two components mixed with a strong back end, and if we were to dabble in some small SEO focused on local, more so on the maps, and a small portion of video SEO over on YouTube, you've got yourself a pretty strong, noisy campaign month over month over month. What I like about this combination, and for those of you guys that weren't there, I'll give you kind of like the really high-end skinny on what geofencing is. How many of you guys right now on this call pull a list, skip trace a list, have names, phone numbers, addresses of properties, or have done that in the past in some capacity? We take that same list now, right? And instead, in the past, it was, hey, go get a list, skip trace it. You got address, you got phone number, start smiling and dialing, hit the phones with cold calls, hit them with cold texts, sit down and lick envelopes and handwrite yellow letters and blast them with direct mail. Go drive those neighborhoods, do door knocking and hang door knocking signs, right? That was like the old school tried and true methods of finding real estate opportunities. Anybody come up in the game really building their business off of that other than myself? I know Lauren was around at that time when that was like all anybody taught. Now with some of this new technology that's in place, I can take that list and we can put what is called a geo fence. It's a virtual fence around those properties. So those of you that were in Phoenix, I was talking about a client of ours, local investor, they're up in the New Jersey area. He pulled a list of 5,600 names, addresses. He targets absentee owners. So he pulled a list of all the properties that are owned by somebody that doesn't live in the state of New Jersey, found their addresses, basically their mailing address. And we're in the process right now of taking this campaign across 3 months, split that list into thirds, and we're putting geofences around a third of that list. And then those are going to go active for 30 days. Then we'll do the next third, then the next third behind it. Now, what geofence marketing is there's this fence virtually that goes around the property address. So if Phil came to me and said, hey guys, I got 123 Main Street, 987 Main Street, and 456 Main Street. I really want those 3 houses on that street. I can put a fence just around those 3, not touch any of the other homes, right? Person leaves the house, comes back into their home, they went through the fence. As long as their location setting is on their mobile device, we capture that. And for the next 30 days, this is why I do them in 30-day campaigns. For the next 30 days, however many impressions a day I want to serve up to that direct person, I have the capability of doing that across just shy of about 700,000 mobile apps and over 1 million different websites. I'm curious, other than Bob, because Bob's like tighter than Fort Knox. Those of you guys that were in Phoenix, did you or are you or have you since then seen anything of REI Toolbox floating around on anything that you've been doing? Nobody on here? I was looking at our portal the other day, yesterday, actually, I haven't looked at it yet today, but we've had just shy of about 200,000 impressions since we put the geofence on that office.
Pretty much. I got a silly question.
What's that?
I see how like geofencing could work, like in your disposition of a property, like people going to the, but like, how would you tailor that to the acquisition side, like to that list?
Great question. I wasn't going to pull this up. You asked.
Well, here, like Jacob, for example, in my situation where I'm targeting seniors who are going to assisted living, what if I put a geofence around all the assisted living buildings?
Oh, hell yeah.
In Grapevine and got everybody going through there, right?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
On that note, Marie and Jake over with the Laura, we're about to launch geofencing for them here probably in the next couple weeks. One of the things that we're going to target, they do military. I don't have anybody. Bob, what's something that military guys have to do every single week?
Well, it all
Shower.
depends. I mean, you got to narrow that down just a tad.
Well,
Shower.
okay, what's the one thing that you must get done especially in the Marine Corps, and it better be up off the ears, and it better not
A
look
field day
scraggly.
and/or a freaking haircut.
Haircut. So what's Jake and Marie going to do? We're going to geofence every one of the barbers right next to the base. What's the other thing that military guys and gals do on their way onto base, on their way off base, almost every single day? They stop somewhere quite frequently.
Yeah, whatever the local convenience store is right
Local
outside the
convenience
base.
stores, gas stations, that kind of stuff. We're going to geofence all of the ones right around the base.
You just geofence the base.
You're not allowed to geofence government facilities.
Federal installations cannot be done like that.
But that doesn't stop me from doing.
You could you have to have an address?
It has.
Or can you just
it
do
goes
an
off of
area?
plot lines.
Oh, so I was gonna say you geofence, so many feet outside the gate on the street. Oh.
Well, not just the street, but again,
Yeah.
plot lines. So anyway, to Jacob, to answer your question, these are some of the ads that are going to start showing up for local investor. Once that fence goes in place, we got multiple different sizes and variations based on where it's at, but you can see who they're targeting, right? How many of you guys have ever been on a YouTube video and seen an ad like this pop up in the bottom while you're watching the video? This little thing pops up like this and it has a little box for you to close it out. That's programmatic marketing. Those are the type of places that these type of ads can pop up once somebody's been fenced and I've got them. Different sizes, different variations, right? But if we actually sat and read all the copy, we understand that this person's targeting the out-of-state owner that typically is dealing with tenants, right? Tired of dealing with the tenants, that kind of thing. Now, Dominique, you bring up a good point. This is one way of doing geofence and becoming really noisy because I can pull that list and now I'm just hyper targeting those people. We're doing it right now for an event that I'm going to be running here where I'm taking a zip code, in this case 91311, which is the Chatsworth area. We're running a block fest. 2 weeks prior to the block fest, we're going to geofence the zip code 91311, and then I'm going to set parameters to nail down how many homes are in that by saying I want homes with kids, I want homes within the certain radius of the street that we're doing the block fest on. I want homes that, we ideally want people with money because we want them to show up to this event and buy from the vendors. We want them to buy beer in the beer garden, that kind of stuff. And I can set these different parameters. And I think when we did it, all of 91311, it's going to be shy of like 13,000 residents. So I'm going to run a campaign for 7 to 14 days leading up to this thing where we're going to hit them pretty frequently. So we're going to run 8 impressions a day to those. The point with this is I just want to have something brand awareness like you saw there with local investor. Imagine if you got fenced by local investor and every time you jumped on your phone, you're seeing something about local investor. Are we starting to get noisy? Yes? Even if it's just brand recognition, I'm starting to get brand recognition noisy, right? Now, let's couple that because I don't like doing one tactic. He's got 5,600 names, addresses. Can I launch direct mail at them? Does anybody here want to sit down and write out 5,600 pieces of mail, lick and stamp envelopes, do 3 to 4 touches of those? Does anybody want to sit down and do all that work?
What flavor's the glue?
Yeah. Jack Daniels. Nobody wants to do that. That's where we went and got our partnership with Dope 360. And Dope doesn't even work with outside companies unless you work through one of us, an agency partner with them. But Dope gives us the ability to automate the direct mail. This is something Jordan and Jacob are about to launch. We just got their Dope account fired up. We've been working on getting some of their different postcard designs put in place. We take that list, we upload it into it, we tell it to whatever. I want this postcard to go out on this day, then 10 days later, I want this card, then this one these days. And now that whole piece is automated. So I geofence them and start to try to hit them on mobile apps, websites, social platforms. I start putting mail in their mailbox. Dominique, this is where that tool QR code comes into play, right? When one of these get in your mailbox and there's this little QR code front and back, where do you think that's driving them back to?
Either the about us or how it works.
More likely than not the how it works page, right? But I hit them in their mailbox with something of this size, designed slightly different, 3-4 different times over a 30-day window. I've got programmatic ads hitting them on different mobile apps and different pieces. And then if I've got phone number, email address, can I continue to touch them, combining direct mail and this to get up to 13 touches with a couple direct phone calls, direct text messages, voice drops, these type of things? Yes? And you hear how all of a sudden after 30 days, I've gone pretty hard on those people. At any point did I say you got to get on there and shoot 30 days worth of Facebook Lives, shoot 30 days of, a YouTube piece of content every single day? No. So for my introverts, I'm not really comfortable being out there with my smiley face all the time. Can we put something like this in place and it not be us doing all the work? Yes? 100%. You can automate this whole entire thing. You build the campaign, this part of it, one time, tell it where you want it to tie into dope, activate the geofence, and over a
Shawn,
30-day window, we got a lot of noise going on.
Who do we have to talk to set up the geofence and the dope?
Me. We can take care of that. And I know, Lauren, you and I had that talk yesterday about some of that stuff. And before I go into the details on some of that stuff, let me finish down this trail here. We still want some SEO aspects happening, because when we start building brand awareness, where is somebody going to go at some point?
Gotta drive them back to your website.
Well, we're trying to drive them back, right? When we use the QR codes, if they were to click on one of these geofenced ads, it's going to take them to a dedicated page, where we tell it
Google.
to take them. But why do I still want that? Who remembers this part from the presentation in Phoenix?
Google.
Keep going, Bob. Why? There's a phase that they get into.
Trust.
No, they want to find you so that they can learn more about you, do the research.
I call it the
Comparatives.
findability phase, right? They're looking to find who else is out there, what else is out there, find information about this. We want to still show up when they do that search. Is it always the first thing that they do, though? No. So the big mistake that I've been seeing a lot of real estate companies, and not just real estate, I've been experiencing this a lot with some of our other industries we work with. They're trying to rely on SEO to do it all. And you can't. SEO is a tool in the toolbox. It's a tactic that, when coupled with the right stuff, it lets us be discoverable when we need it. But sometimes we get a little confused and think that SEO can do all the heavy lifting. Same thing with this right here, YouTube video. They're like, okay, well, I'll just start doing YouTube videos. That's going to help me find leads. What is YouTube at the end of the day?
It's a search engine.
It's a search engine. It's another place for them to find you. If I build the arsenal right, I can leverage it as tools and drive some of this stuff to it. But really, these bottom two right here, they kind of round it out, because I know they're going to eventually do some research. I forget who said earlier in this part over here, you said reviews. I think that was Nicole. Reviews, case studies, right? This type of stuff. That's when they get to this phase where they're looking and they're trying to find what else is out there. That's what I want them finding.
Right, makes sense.
I don't lead with that stuff. I lead with the get attention. I lead with the noisy aspects. Let me be so up in your face that I can't get you, you can't get away from me, to where you have no choice but to go, who in the F is this local investor company? Who is building Appalachia? Who is Ohana Legacy, right? And start researching. And then the question becomes, what do they find? That's where this power comes in. Bob, what did you say about blocked? Oh, you would block, yes.
Keep sending all this garbage at me, yeah.
But guess what? They can't turn off those ads. They can't turn off that direct mail. Can they tell you to go away and stop the text messaging? Absolutely. Can they tell you to stop giving them a phone call? Absolutely. But they cannot stop me from putting one of these in their mailboxes. They cannot stop me from putting ads on their cell phones unless they turn off their setting.
Right. And then part of it is built on their ad ID. So whether you know it or not, on the back end, as soon as you touch something on Facebook or YouTube or any of that stuff, the ad ID is attached to you, your number, your MAC address, your SSID, blah, 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 blah. Not to get all nerd on you, but
100%.
and you never lose that ad ID till you die.
Correct.
Well, and again, if they're telling you to go away, they're probably not your client anyways.
100%. But I can't tell you how many times somebody's told me, no, I'm not interested. No, I'm not interested. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, hey, by the way, I changed my mind. Right. So this right here, this little kind of like fun little stack building off of what I did the presentation on. After we left there, this was something that came out actually last week. I'm going to give Jordan a little bit of the credit because he got the brainstorm with Roger and I. Why can't I give Jordan credit, Lauren? I saw this.
I'm just giving him shit.
Yeah, he's good for a few things, you know. I think I got one good day out of him. But Jordan did get some insight, like some back end insight to the way that Roger and I think when it comes to how we help you guys. And I looked at this and I was like, wait a minute, this right here, this is an easy little bundle that can be executed like clockwork that fast. We have everything in place. It's ready to roll. So Lauren, to answer your question, how do you get this stuff going? We got to get on the call and talk about it. There's a couple key things that we definitely need to have in place to be able to fire something like this off, meaning you actually have to have some data. You either have to have a list or know how to get a list or have an idea like I did here. Is there a geographical area? Conversation I had with one of our clients this morning, Greensboro, South Carolina is his market. Like he just wants to own that market. Well, we can target based on areas. Laura Holmes is another example. It's not like we're pooling addresses, but they know they want to target more military people. Great, let's find the locations where military people hang out. But we want to make sure that we can put all the right components in place because it doesn't have the impact if I've only used one or two of the tactics, right? It's the combination of all of it that brings the result. Does that make sense to everybody? So I know we're up against time. We're basically right at the top of the hour. If you guys have to jump, I understand. But if you watch the Facebook video that I did yesterday or saw the email that came out and I said the max traffic formula, this is what I'm talking about. This is about the simplest way to be stupid noisy and keep it really consistent and get it off your plate so that you're not manually fulfilling, because some of this stuff you can't manually fulfill. You can't fulfill the ad placements. Could you fulfill the direct mail on your own? Sure, if somebody really wants to lick 5,600 envelopes. James, maybe you can find a VA to outsource that too, I guess. Thoughts, comments, questions?
How much does it cost to run this?
It's a great question. A lot of it comes down to, on the geofencing side, we got to know how big of a campaign we're running. Obviously, in this client's case, we were attacking 5,600 names, but we're not attacking all 5,600 all 3 months. We're taking a third of that. I know what it costs per 1,000 impressions. So it comes down to, in his case, we're doing a third of 5,600 a month. So that's 5,600 divided by 3. That's 1,866 names or addresses, I should say, that we're going to target. We're going to target 2 impressions a day for 30 days. So we're going after 112,000 impressions. $112 divided by 1,000 times 9. So that 1 month campaign, if you guys can't see my calculator, the ad placement, the ad spend is $1,008 per month on the programmatic side, the geofence side, right? Then if we're going to hit them with 4 postcards in that same 30-day span, it's 69 cents per postcard to have automated, printed, shipped, the whole 9 yards. Lead Vault, there is a cost to the platform there. There is a cost to the platform for dope with the postcard side. So it comes down to campaign, where the cost lies. The difference here is we build the entire campaign and we know what the cost is going to run for that month. And then we know if we're going to shift, like in his case, we built a 3-month campaign. He knows for the next 3 months, here's what that campaign is going to cost him over 90 days. Does that make sense? So it's a lot easier when we actually get on a call, talk about it, find out what you're trying to attack, see what you got. We build the entire campaign out. We know what the hard costs are. We know what the ad placement costs are. We know roughly what our shipping costs are going to be for the postage. We can put the entire campaign cost together. Anybody else? Thoughts, comments, questions?
Is this what we're going to talk about after this call?
Who, me, you, and Jordan?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Or
we were
when is
talking-
that?
I didn't know we
Well-
were talking after this call.
I didn't either. Well, I thought so. Sorry. Never mind.
I guess we will talk after this call then.
All right.
Gotta get you some more gas.
So if you were to pick a zip code, pull a list of non-local owners.
So absentee owners.
Provide that list to you to build the data. From there, be able to focus on each of those individual homes that are absentee owners in that specific zip code, and then just drill on them, regardless of where they're at. It'll be their specific data.
Yeah, if you got that data, like in the case of local investor, he went and got a list of all the homes that are owned by somebody that doesn't reside in that home, right? And then I think he hired a VA to go through, and he did the whole scrubbing of it and found all the mailing addresses of the actual owners. Those are the addresses that we're targeting, not the home itself, right? I want to. Bob owns a house in New Jersey but lives in California. I'm going to geofence Bob's California house.
Got it.
Because that's where Bob resides, and that's who I'm trying to target. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's one way of doing it. One of our other clients has a list of all the notice of defaults that have gone out in the last 90 days. Well, what do you think we're trying to target on that one?
Pre-foreclosures, right?
All the people that have just recently received a notice of default. So we're geofencing their house where they're at, going after them, dropping postcards, dropping programmatic ads, the whole 9 yards behind that.
Is that going and talking to the bank specifically, or trying to find from lenders?
He actually can get it from his local area, actually publishes it. It's like his local county records office. It almost sounded like he gets emails every week with what's recently been posted. I know Mia was talking, and some of you guys are in Phoenix there. Mia and Marie's title rep.
Mm-hmm.
She has a ton. They have got so much data. And then that girl that was with Mia's group that came in and spoke just before, I don't know if anybody wrote, I forget her name now off the top of my head.
Taylor?
No, the one that got up in front of the room and spoke, that they basically have nationwide data.
Helena's
Helena's the
Nikki?
title rep. I forget the other younger girl.
Well, she was another title rep. I think her name was Nikki, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But that's another one. Like they've got data out there. We have capability of getting our hands on data.
Sam Jones.
That's what it was. We have the capability of getting our hands on data. It just depends what we're looking at and what we're trying to do and how granular. Some things we can get through these platforms. Some stuff we can't.
Yeah, making friends with a title rep is worth its weight in gold.
But like somebody like Dominique, you want to get more management clients? I'd find out all the properties that are being managed by other managers right now.
Well,
Try
what
to
I
find
have
out who
a-
those owners are and go after them.
I have a list of all the 2+ units in my area. And that's who I go after. Instead of hitting the single family, which is who most of the other property managements hit, I hit all the 2+ units.
I'd find it.
I go 2 to 15 units.
You got the owners of them and their data, their information?
Yep.
The owners of those properties, right?
Yes, including their emails and phone numbers on some of them.
There you go. All good? You guys want to talk deeper about this? If you want, get on a call. Hey, let's break it down. Let's put some things together. Let's put some costs to this thing for you, what you're trying to do. Grab a time on my calendar. It's a lot easier to talk more one-on-one when we can figure out your situation, what you got going. Okay. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording because that's when everybody really starts to talk. See, guys, I'm going to stop the recording. You should have been on the live call.